The mystery of Archangel Michael, the warrior of light unveiled. In the beginning, when the Almighty spoke creation into existence, there stood beside his throne a being of incomparable power and unwavering loyalty. His name was Michael. Who is like God? A question that would echo through eternity as both his identity and his battle cry. Long before humanity drew its first breath, before Adam walked in Eden's perfect garden, a war raged in the heavenly realms. It was not a war of swords and shields, but a conflict that would determine the very nature of existence itself. At its center stood Michael, the great prince, the defender of God's throne, facing an enemy who had once been called the Morning Star. The Great Rebellion picture, if you will, the moment when pride first poisoned perfection. Lucifer, the anointed cherub, the covering angel who walked among the fiery stones, began to believe his own magnificence surpassed that of his creator. In his heart, he whispered the 5 deadly I wills that would shake the foundations of heaven itself. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. But Michael heard these whispered blasphemies. His mighty wings spread wide as he declared with a voice like thunder, "Who is like God?" The very utterance of his name became a rebuke to the fallen angel's arrogance. The battle was fierce beyond human comprehension. 1/3 of heaven's angels followed Lucifer in his rebellion, their light corrupted, their glory turned to shadow. But Michael commanded the loyal host, and with sword blazing with divine fire, he fought not for victory, for God's triumph was assured, but for righteousness itself. When the dust of cosmic battle settled, Satan and his demons were cast out like lightning falling from heaven. Michael stood victorious, not in his own strength, but as the instrument of divine justice, the guardian of nations. But Michael's story was far from over. As humanity emerged and nations rose and fell, Michael took on a role that would span millennia, the guardian of God's chosen people. In the book of Daniel, we discover that behind every earthly kingdom stands a spiritual prince, and behind Israel stood Michael, the great prince. When Daniel fasted for 21 days, seeking understanding of God's plan, an angel appeared with a startling revelation. "The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, the messenger declared. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me." This unveils a mystery that few comprehend. While we see the rise and fall of empires in our history books, there rages an invisible war in heavenly places. Persian princes, Greek princes, princes of darkness opposing the purposes of light. But Michael stands as the defender, the one who ensures that God's people survive every storm, every persecution, every attempt at annihilation. The defender of the dead. Perhaps most mysterious of all is Michael's role as the defender of those who have passed from this life. In the book of Jude, we find a glimpse of this cosmic responsibility. When Moses died on Mount Nebo, his soul became the subject of a supernatural dispute. Satan claimed the great lawgiver's body, perhaps seeking to turn it into an object of idolatry or to mock God's servant in death. But Michael appeared. The archangel who had cast Satan from heaven now faced him again over the body of God's faithful servant. Yet notice the humility of true power. Michael did not rail against the devil with his own authority. Instead, he declared, "The Lord rebuke you." This reveals something profound about Michael's character. Though he possesses might that could shatter mountains and strength that could command legions, his true power lies in his complete submission to divine authority. He is mighty precisely because he never seeks to be mighty in his own right. The end times warrior. But the greatest chapter of Michael's story is yet to be written. As this age draws to its close, as darkness seems to overwhelm light and evil appears to triumph over good, Michael prepares for his final great battle. The book of Revelation pulls back the curtain on this ultimate confrontation. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. This is not a past event. This is the future hope of every believer. When the world reaches its darkest hour, when the Antichrist seems unstoppable, when persecution reaches its peak, Michael will arise. Daniel prophesies, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time your people shall..." The end times warrior. But the greatest chapter of Michael's story is yet to be written. As this age draws to its close, as darkness seems to overwhelm light and evil appears to triumph over good, Michael prepares for his final great battle. The book of Revelation pulls back the curtain on this ultimate confrontation. "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven." This is not a past event. This is the future hope of every believer. When the world reaches its darkest hour, when the Antichrist seems unstoppable, when persecution reaches its peak, Michael will arise. Daniel prophesies, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." The voice of the archangel. The Apostle Paul gives us another glimpse of Michael's end times role. "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first." Many scholars believe this voice of the archangel refers to Michael himself, announcing the return of the King of Kings. Imagine that moment when Michael's voice, which once declared, "Who is like God?" in the halls of heaven, will echo across the earth, calling the righteous dead from their graves. The mystery revealed. So what is the great mystery of Michael the Archangel? It is this. In a universe where pride seeks to exalt itself, where power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, there exists a being of unlimited might who uses his strength solely to serve his Creator. Michael is the answer to pride. Every time he speaks his name, "Who is like God?" he reminds creation that there is no comparison, no rival, no equal to the Almighty. His strength is not his own, his victories are not for his glory. His very existence is a living testament to the truth that real power lies in perfect submission to divine authority. In our age of self-promotion and ego-driven leadership, Michael stands as the eternal example. The greatest warrior in heaven's host finds his identity not in what he can do, but in whom he serves. The most powerful created being derives his strength not from his own magnificence, but from his complete surrender to the will of God. The call to battle. As we face our own battles, against temptation, against despair, against the forces of darkness that seek to destroy faith and hope, we can take courage from Michael's example. We do not fight in our own strength. We do not battle with our own wisdom. Like Michael, our victory cry must be, "Who is like God?" When Satan whispers that we are defeated, we point to Michael's victory. When demons suggest that darkness will prevail, we remember that our defender still stands at the right hand of power. When fear tries to overwhelm us, we recall that the same archangel who cast down the dragon guards those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. The mystery of Michael is ultimately the mystery of divine power working through perfect obedience. It is the revelation that true strength comes not from asserting our own will, but from aligning ourselves with the will of the Almighty. As this age draws to its close, as the final battle approaches, Michael stands ready. His sword is drawn, his voice prepared to echo across the cosmos once more. And when he speaks, every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. The mystery of Michael the Archangel is not just about an angel, it is about the very nature of victory itself. In a universe where God reigns supreme, those who fight in his name and for his glory cannot ultimately fail. Who is like God? No one. And in that truth lies our eternal hope. Narrative runtime. Approximately 10 minutes when read aloud. The wrong man, Chapter 1. Tuesday morning. Marcus Washington adjusted his tie one last time before stepping out of his apartment at 7:45. At 32 years old, he had worked his way up from nothing to become a respected software engineer at a major tech company downtown. The morning sun caught the silver of his wedding ring as he locked his door, a reminder of Sarah and their 2 young children waiting for him to come home that evening. He walked the same route he had taken for 3 years, down 5th Street, past the coffee shop where Mrs. Rodriguez always waved from behind the counter, and toward the subway station. Today felt different, though. There was tension in the air, like the moments before a storm breaks. Marcus had grown up in this neighborhood when it was rougher, when opportunity seemed as distant as the stars. His mother, Gloria, had worked double shifts as a nurse to keep him in school and away from the streets. "Education is your weapon against ignorance," she used to say, pressing worn textbooks into his hands. "Knowledge is the one thing they can never take from you." Now, walking these familiar streets in his pressed suit, Marcus embodied everything his mother had dreamed of. He had a master's degree in computer science, owned his home, coached Little League baseball on weekends, and had never been arrested, not even a parking ticket. At 8:15, he descended into the subway station, nodding to familiar faces. The train was delayed, so he pulled out his phone to text Sarah that he might be a few minutes late to the office. As he typed, he noticed 2 police officers entering the station, their eyes scanning the crowd with the intensity of hunters. Chapter 2. The Stop. "Excuse me, sir." The voice cut through the ambient noise of the subway platform like a knife. Marcus looked up from his phone to see Officer Daniels, a stocky man with cold blue eyes, approaching him. Behind him stood Officer Martinez, younger, with her hand resting casually on her radio. "Yes, officer?" Marcus replied, maintaining eye contact. His father had taught him long ago, "Be respectful, keep your hands visible, don't make sudden movements." "We need to ask you some questions," Officer Daniels said, his tone suggesting it wasn't really a request. "There was a robbery 3 blocks from here last night. Convenience store. The suspect matches your description." Marcus felt his stomach drop, but kept his voice steady. "I was at home with my family last night, officer. I work downtown and—" "Sir, I need you to put your hands behind your back," Daniels interrupted, already reaching for his handcuffs. "Wait, what? I haven't done anything wrong." Marcus's voice rose slightly, drawing stares from other commuters. Some pulled out phones, others looked away uncomfortably. "Don't make this difficult," Martinez added, moving to Marcus's left side. "We just need to sort this out at the station." Marcus's mind raced. He thought about Sarah, probably getting the kids ready for school, about his presentation at 10:30 that morning, months of work that could advance his career, about his mother's warnings echoing in his head. "The world will try to put you in a box, baby. Don't you ever let them. Can I call my wife? Can I at least tell her?" "You can make your phone call from the station," Daniel said, snapping the handcuffs into place with more force than necessary. Chapter 3. The Station. The police station smelled of industrial disinfectant and despair. Marcus had been fingerprinted, photographed, and placed in a holding cell with 7 other men. The concrete walls seemed to close in around him as the hours passed. At 11:30, Detective Reynolds, a tall woman with graying hair, finally came to speak with him. She carried a thick manila folder and wore the expression of someone who had seen too much. "Marcus Washington," she said, settling into the metal chair across from him in the interrogation room. 32 years old, software engineer, married with 2 kids. Clean record. "Yes, ma'am, which is why I don't understand why I'm here." Reynolds opened the folder and slid a photograph across the table. It showed a grainy security camera image of a black man in a dark hoodie robbing a convenience store. The image was blurry, but the suspect appeared to be roughly Marcus's height and build. "Store clerk identified you from a photo lineup," Reynolds said, watching Marcus's reaction carefully. Marcus stared at the photo, his heart sinking. "That's not me. I've never even been in that store. I was home with my family. We ordered pizza and watched a movie. The receipt should still be on my kitchen counter." "Pizza receipt doesn't prove you didn't leave the house later," My wife will tell you. Wives lie for their husbands all the time, Mr. Washington. For the next 2 hours, Reynolds pressed him with questions, showing him the same blurry photograph, the same lineup results. Marcus answered each,